In the previous video, we saw that we were able to have a parameter in the URL. For example, this 25 corresponds to the ID of the actor that we want to edit. But what happens when we make a mistake and, for example, we forget to have an ID in the URL? If we press enter, we're going to see that we are not being shown anything besides the menu, and if we press F12, we can see that there is an error in the console. This does not look good. Our users shouldn't have to open the console in order to guess that there is no a matching URL segment. So what can we do? Something that we can do is to use a wildcard. With a wildcard, we will be able to have a catch-all routing rule that will be applicable to any kind of URL that we have. Let's do that. Let's go to Visual Studio Code, and in here we have our app routing module, and what I'm going to do is that I am going to add that wildcard that I just mentioned. Now, where should I add it? Because of the way that routing rules work, we have to put it here. Why is that? The way routing rules works is the following. When Angular receives a route, what it does is that it runs through every single routing rule of our routes array. And if there is a match, for example here, let's say that the user is in genres/create, then it stops looking on the following routing rules because there is already a match, so there is no point in continuous searching. Now the problem with the wildcard is that, as I said, it is a catch-all route and therefore it will always apply, and therefore we have to put it at the end of the routes array because otherwise it will catch every single request to our page. So in order to have a wildcard, we say double asterisks here. And now we can say what we want to happen. For example, we want to display a component. We could have some sort of not found component or something like that in order to display a customized message that indicates to the user that he or she tried to navigate to a non-existing URL. In my case, what I'm going to do is that I am just going to say home component, so that if the URL does not exist, then we're just going to send the user to the home component. Now let me put a comma here and let me save. And now let's go back here. And if I write here, for example, actors/edit/25, you can see that we're here. But if I delete the 25, I press enter, then as you can see, we are back in the home component. And not only that, if I write something here like Felipe, you can see that we are still here. And if I write something like this really long string, then we are still here. And we don't have any errors here in the console. Now, I don't really like this because although we are here, and we can close this, although we are here, we have this wrong URL here, and I don't like that. I would prefer to clean up the URL. For that, we can use a redirect. So let's go back here, and we can say, instead of showing a component, I can say redirect. I want to redirect the user to another URL. And what is that URL going to be? Well, the root URL. And with that, I can save. And now, when we get to the wildcard, instead of leaving the URL, let me press enter, you can see that now it is clean. It doesn't matter what I write here, it is going to be clean up. And of course, we can still navigate throughout the application. We can still use our application as normal. It is just that if we have a URL that does not correspond to any other routing rule, then our catch-all routing rule is going to apply and it's going to redirect the user to our home component.